What is up, fellow nerds? Today we are going to be reviewing probably one of my favorite pieces in my collection. This is my first resin statue I ever got, ever. I said if I was only going to get one, it would be this one. Obviously, that didn't work out, but yeah, this is going to be really exciting. Vegeta versus Oozaru Gohan by Unique Creation Studios, also known as UC Studios. This thing is crazy. Front of the box art here, big awesome full moon, raging Oozaru Gohan, silhouette of Vegeta, all the original names, the scale, side, back, side, front, top. Nothing on the bottom, hardly ever is. Awesome, so we're gonna bring this up piece by piece, assemble it, let you guys check it out. I cannot wait. This is gonna be awesome. Let's do it. Okay guys, we're gonna go ahead and start with the base. It's humongous, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab it. We're gonna get it here and start assembling everything so you see how the entire piece comes together into one. Yes, this is the entire base. This is all one solid piece. Now the battery pack for the light feature is right inside of here. You just pop this open, it's under this hand. So here's Vegeta's body. Again, we're gonna do a close-up and do a full 360. You guys are gonna see this really up close and all this texture, but this is Vegeta's body. The texture, everything is awesome. Now, this is considered a quarter scale statue. However, I don't really know if it's totally quarter scale. This Vegeta here is quarter scale, and this is definitely a little smaller than that. But again, the Oozaru is just so big that, you know, I think it's close, but I don't think it's quite quarter scale. It goes on in a very particular way, but there's a magnet in the knee that attaches to the thumb that's pretty strong, and that's when you know you've got it right. So that's it right there. This is the Vegeta head. Again, it's just like an unreal sculpt with the glossy eye. We're gonna get all into all the details of this, but just want you guys to see it here. And the light up feature button is the Saiyan logo right here. This is the COA. It's really, really nice. It's a piece of like plexiglass with all the features etched into it. You get this cool like little metal stand here that just looks really, really good. This is number 54 of 300, so only 300 of these made. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get into the full 360, let you guys see everything, and then we'll start breaking it down from there. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and dive into the details of this piece. Again, this is probably one of my absolute favorite pieces in my collection. I was able to get this from a collector here in the US, so that was really, really helpful as far as shipping went. Yeah, that was a particularly cool experience. So, but yeah, we got, let's start with the bottom of the base here. Definitely replicates like a ship, or just like typical architecture that you see in the Dragon Ball universe. But what I really like, and what I'm really hoping that other companies, if you're watching this, I don't know if you are, but UC did a really good job of putting the light feature button right here in the very front. It's the logo of the Saiyans right here. When it turns around, I'm gonna actually show you guys, but there's nothing better than being able to walk up to a statue and then just click this button and it come right on. Sometimes other buttons are pretty easy to get to. They might be in the back, but them making the symbol right here, the button, is the best idea, and please, other companies, take after that, because that's, I actually like this one up a lot more than my other ones. My other ones I hardly don't light up at all because it's really pain in the butt, or you gotta finesse it and take parts off, and it's just not worth it. So, but this one gets lit up. People really like it. Moving on to the Gohan Oozaru here. I'm a huge Oozaru fan. I love the Great Ape. Ever since I was little, I love big warrior-esque creatures. Very much my thing. So when I saw this and I saw just the scale and how dynamic and how much action was in it, I said that if I was gonna only have one, this is the one I'm gonna have. But yeah, it's just, now these parts here coming out of the smoke holding the rocks, I love the way it looks. It just creates a sense of weightlessness and movement and action and all this kinds of stuff that we've come to love from the show. However, they're fragile. They're transparent resin, so luckily I've been just super careful and haven't had any breaks or anything, but they do hang off, and whenever you're taking it in and out of the box, sometimes the foam can kind of touch it, and this thing is pretty heavy. We're gonna put it on the scale in a little bit and get a real weight for it, but it can be a little easy to break. Putting the parts on, you wanna be really careful because these transparent resin pieces can snap right off. So moving on to the actual Gohan Oozaru here, the sculpt of the fur is amazing. It's a really good blend of what it would really look like, but also staying true to the show. I love how big the hands are. I mean, it's literally like bigger than my hand would be. The matte finish on the skin and the semi-gloss on the fur, and then inside of the mouth is just glossy and wet. Lots of bruising, some blood, lots of scuffs. Very much like they have been in battle, which they have been. When it turns around here, we're gonna look at the Oozaru's face. All beat up, glowing eyes. The underlight from the smoke creates a really cool effect on the Oozaru when the lights are a little dimmer. Yeah, notice you're gonna see here all this blood and all this scrapes. It's a little bit more graphic than what would be in the anime, but definitely my taste. I just love how he's just coming out of the frame and pouring out. It really gives a sense of he's larger than the piece even wants to allow. I really love that. It's fantastic. So talking about the Vegeta here, he's the smaller part of the statue, but he is packing probably the most detail out of all of it. The breaking of the armor, seeing inside the break, you know his body goes inside of that armor. That was a really fantastic idea. The texture on the clothes. This was my first statue, and it was also my first statue that had the texture. So when I saw that, I just couldn't get over it. I thought it was really incredible. Right here on the bottom of Vegeta's feet is the sand from the planet they're on, but it has texture. You can feel it. It's real true sand stuck to his boot, and gives a really awesome sense of realism. We're gonna start pulling the ground up into the scene. it's just awesome. It's exactly how it would be. I like the scuffs and the blood coming through the clothing. The paint job on this is incredible. It's probably one of the best. His knees being scraped, the how dynamic his hand pose is. It's just every knuckle, the spacing between the fingers is fantastic. It just has a lot of intensity and movement into it in person. Again, the head here is just the character we grew up with. They did such a good job. I really like the one eye being open and super intense and the other one just being banged up and swollen shut. It just really gives a sense of realism to a show that we grew up with that was relatively simple as far as colors and battle weathering and things like that. We're going to take some photos of a lot of these little details that I'm talking about, and I'm going to add them in, but he has Vegeta's tail has been cutting off at this part of the show, so you get the nub here, you see the bone, you see the blood, you see the muscle inside of his tail. That right there was just sent it over the edge for me because I grew up with these characters, I grew up with this show, and I put a lot of thought into it and what would their tails be like and what would they feel like. And so having his cut tail and being able to see inside of it really just kind of scratches that itch that I've had of wanting more detail. The face is just unreal. The skin is a nice kind of matte finish. The armor is a little bit more matte than everything else, so that gives it another little sense of realism there. But the glossiness on the eye here, all the glossiness on the wounds and the blood, it's just, the detail is just amazing. Photos don't really do this piece justice. I looked at a million photos online before purchasing, some reviews, and just trying to get as much information I could before I pulled the trigger. And this is just what typically happens with these pieces is they're amazing, they look great online, and then when they show up, they're, especially from bigger companies like this, they're usually just so on point and just deliver so much that I think that really contributes to it being such an addicting hobby that is collecting these statues. I like that they didn't go too crazy with the detail in Vegeta. You get really cool scrapes, lots of little tiny micro lines, but ultimately he's not overdone. He still looks like the show. The proportions are fantastic. Again, I really don't, I wouldn't consider this quarter scale. I think maybe just a little bit smaller, but again, it's such a big and demanding statue that it's fine with me. If it was any bigger, I don't know. I don't know what I would do with that. But yeah, so this is it in its entirety. The magnet feature, as I mentioned before, from Vegeta's knee into Gohan's thumb is fantastic. I really trust that it's going to hold it. The magnet really locks on, and that's how you know Vegeta's in the perfect place. If you notice, he fits in a very particular place right here. Sometimes it's easier to put the hand in first, then Vegeta. You know, I guess everybody has their own way, but that seems to be the easiest because, as you probably saw me messing with it, Vegeta can be a little tricky to get on there absolutely perfect, but when he does, it really locks on and you feel the attachment. So I'm not concerned about Vegeta going anywhere or, you know, falling or anything like that. It's a really great statue. It's actually super solid and feels great. Again, you have Vegeta's fingers can be a little on the fragile side, and these pieces here can be a little on the fragile side, but if you're spending the money on these, you're probably pretty careful. And yeah, I've moved this a couple times when I've moved homes, and you just take your time and, you know, really make sure you're focusing on what you're doing so you don't break anything. I guess as far as anything kind of negative about it, there's really not much. I'm super in love with this piece, but it appears that they did a little bit of weathering on the base. Right here on the edges, a little bit of dirt and debris to kind of match with the dirt that's coming out of it. It was a good idea. I like that some of this dirt transcends onto here like it's pouring out, but it's really not that great. You could probably see some of the brown here, but it kind of just looks like it was sprayed on. I think that if you're gonna do that, some scuffs here. I think if you're gonna do that, it's better to make it a little bit more intentional. At first I thought maybe the paint had rubbed off for me taking it in and out of the box, but upon looking at other statues and other pieces, I realized like that's just how it's supposed to be. It's cool, it gives you a little forgiveness when you're moving it in and out of foam, but like if it does rub off, it just kind of looks like it's a part of it. But ultimately it just kind of looks like they weren't sure if they wanted to do that or not, so they kind of did. I wish they would have just committed and done damage all over it, or kept it really clean and nice. The batteries are easy to replace, the button is super easy to get to. I love all of that. It's pretty heavy. We're gonna weigh it in just a second and give you guys an exact weight, but I've been keeping it on top of a D12 pretty much the whole time. It's fine, doesn't seem to jeopardize the cabinet in any way. But again, I would say sometimes Vegeta can be a little finicky to get on there, but once it goes on, you feel it lock on. So that might be kind of a drawback, but ultimately, like personally, and this is just my taste, I would probably have to give this statue at least an 8, maybe 9 out of 10. 10 out of 10 would be just like, you know, absolutely perfect, godlike, can't contend, coolest thing ever. This is pretty close. I really did. It just demands your attention. It's really, really great. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we can go over here. It's not super complicated to put together. You saw it was basically 3 pieces. The batteries are super easy to change. Yeah, pretty much that's it. So we're going to weigh this, and then we are going to get a couple of still shots to put in here so you can really see the detail inside of the statue and down into the mouth of the Oozaru and all that kind of stuff. So let's get to that. Let's get a weight on this, and we will pick it up from there. So we just put this on the scale just here, and it was kind of a pain in the butt to do, so I went ahead and just did it. But this whole thing altogether is 32 pounds and 7 ounces. So it has some weight to it for sure. You're just gonna wanna be careful about putting on any kind of glass shelf. Like I said, it's been sitting on top of a D12 cabinet pretty much since I have it. But yeah, it basically carries some weight, so you're going to be really careful about putting it on any kind of glass or anything that's just weak, because we would really hate for this thing to fall and shatter into a million pieces. So knowing the weight's really important. Make sure you do your research on what your glass can hold. If you have something like this that's over 30 pounds, you're probably going to want to really prepare for that before you just go and throw it on display. So keep that in mind and be careful. All right, guys, so I think that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for this piece right here in this review. I could go on all day about just how much I love this piece. For being my first resin, this really set the bar really high, and some other orders that I've made since then have met up to this, but to be honest, most haven't. This thing hit harder than anything. I mean, for being my first, it really set my expectations pretty high on statues from there on out. But thanks for being here with me. Thanks for checking this out with me. If you enjoy this, let me know. Please make a comment. Tell your people about it. Make sure you thumbs up the video, give me a subscribe, and yeah, you can actually click the little bell. It'll let you know whenever a new video's up. And we're gonna just keep cranking these videos out, these reviews, try to look at all these statues, and even bring in some other statues from some other animes. Definitely keep posted too, because in a couple videos we're going to start doing a little bit of promotions. We're going to start doing some giveaways for some of our followers. We're going to try to get you guys some really cool stuff. So definitely share all of this, interact, and yeah, we'll let you guys know about any kind of little future drawings and little giveaways we're going to give in the future. It's going to be fun. It's going to be some pretty cool stuff. So hang in there, stay with us, and yeah, we're just gonna keep on going. So thanks, guys. See y'all.